Hey everybody, Greg Pruitt here with Idaho Dispatch, and I am live here at Caldwell High School, where everybody I think knows by now there was a game that was canceled at halftime. According to the Idaho Statesman, the game was canceled because of a security threat, and they say that there were several 911 that went into Canyon County Dispatch. And so that is how the Idaho Statesman is listing it. Now, a number of other news outlets say that the game got canceled because of a dispute with Ammon Bundy. And so we wrote up an article. You guys can see that article on our Facebook page. But we wanted to kind of come down and give you a little bit more information on the situation and kind of show you some additional details, especially including Brothers Park. Okay, so for those that don't know, just a quick recap: Emmett High School was playing against Caldwell High. Let me turn this around so you guys can see this. Emmett High School is playing against Caldwell High here on October 2nd, which was Friday, and the score was 35-0 at halftime, and it ended up getting canceled at halftime. Now, currently, there is actually a sign on here that says masks required for entry and must remain on during the game. Okay, so this is a sign that is currently here on the fence. Now, I don't know for sure if this was on during the game, but I am told by pretty much everybody that this is the requirement when you enter. This is actually a recent update. On a personal note, me and my sons, because we go hiking, we actually go to the Caldwell Stairs frequently in the stadium during the summertime and during the spring to go condition. And so this actually is usually open. And in fact, you can see here, this is not normally this way. This is normally open to the public, and you can actually just go in, and they've ripped that out, not as a result of what happened on Friday, but just here recently they've done some improvements to the track and to the football field. So here's the ticket booth. Ammon says that he came to the ticket booth here and tried to pay to go in. He said that this is the only school so far that has had a mask requirement for entry. He informed them that he would not wear a mask. And so what Ammon did was go over in this area right here, okay? And this is the Caldwell High School parking lot, right? Big, huge parking lot right here. These initial ones here are handicapped, and then there's some other ones there. And so Ammon was standing in the grass right here on along the chain link fence. Okay, this side over here, if you can see those stands, is the visitor side of the stadium. And I don't know that anything would prevent you from going to either side, but that is the visitor side. And then over here is the Caldwell side, the home side. And this is where Ammon stood, and at halftime, the coach came up to Ammon, who was standing right here. They had a discussion over the fence, and this is the perimeter fence, right? You can't get in unless you go through the ticket booth entrance right over here. And so the coach came up to Ammon and said, you know what, you need to not be causing a scene, or I can't remember the exact words the coach used. The school superintendent wants something done. And then what we were told by the folks, some of the folks up here in the Caldwell section, was that they can't see. So you guys see these big, huge lights here? Okay, with those big, huge lights, they say, and we haven't been able to verify this, but according to the fans that were sitting in there, when it's dark outside and those lights are on, you can't really see over here where I am standing outside of the perimeter fence. And so they said on both sides, we have now had fans from both sides who said they did not know what was happening until they left and saw that Ammon was here. And so what we are being told right now is that there was an announcement that came from the individual in the press box that said there was a security threat and that everybody needed to leave and they needed to social distance while they were leaving. Okay. Now with Ammon had told us he offered to pay to stand out here, even though generally you pay and then you go inside and you find your seating. Ammon said that he offered to pay, they would not take his payment. And eventually the principal and the superintendent were both, at least the principal, let me retract that. The principal for sure came out and talked to Ammon. That is on video, okay? And they wanted him to leave unless he put on a mask. Now, some interesting details are that despite this sign here, masks required for entry and must remain on during the game, we have a comment that is not part of our article yet, and we're working on it. We have a comment from a, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Good.
What are you doing?
I'm with Idaho Dispatch. We're just kind of doing a recap of Friday night, so,
Okay,
yep. Thank you. And so, what we have now that was not in there previously, sorry, there was somebody asking who we were, is that we have a comment from an Emmett parent, another Emmett parent, who has a son on the football team. And here is the quote from that Emmett parent that I got permission to use their name, and they did confirm that their son was on the football team. He says, and his name is Joshua Satoff. It's Saathoff. I think that's pronounced Satoff. He says, and I quote, here, let me flip this around so you guys aren't looking at nothing forever. So I've got his statement written down here. Again, this is an Emmett parent, Joshua Satoff, who does have a son on the Emmett varsity football team. I was at the game on the Emmett side. Majority of Emmett fans were not, let me repeat that, were not wearing masks, and at no time during the game did anyone come to the visitor side of the stadium and ask us to wear them. We were required to wear a mask to go through the gate. The announcer at the game said multiple times that masks were required, but no one came to our side of the stadium. We had no idea what happened until we left the stadium and saw Ammon outside. Okay, so what's interesting is, I live here in Caldwell, and I had spoken to a number of people from Caldwell who said that once you go inside the stadium and you sit on apparently just the Caldwell side, you know, over here with the press box and everything. Oops, sorry about that. They said that there are school officials of some sort who walk up and down along the bleachers there, and if you're not wearing your mask, they essentially, in their words, tried to shame you into wearing it. Okay, so if you took it off or put it down, they would point at you and tell you you need to wear a mask. And so according to this Emmett parent who was basically sitting over here, you had to wear the mask to come in, and then once you sat over there, you could take it off. So I'm not sure why we're reaching out to the school district to find out why they are enforcing the mask policy only on the Caldwell home fans and not on the visitors fans. And this is something that we have not found another school that implements that type of policy. And additionally, if the Emmett fans did not have to wear a mask, okay, so if they weren't enforcing the mask rule all over the place, why would Ammon, without a mask, not be able to pay and sit out here? I don't know how far it is from here to there. I was actually going to measure it, but I can't get in. Why, when at that point, if anybody is standing outside the perimeter fence here, they are hundreds and hundreds of feet, several hundred feet away from anybody else. And so why would Ammon be the only one that would be required to wear a mask from Emmett? Because the school said on school property you must wear a mask, right? That is the policy. That's what's posted on the sign over here by the gate. And if that's the case, why is it only being enforced on one side, which is the home side, and not on the visitor side, to where they have people actually trying to go and enforce it? So for those just tuning in, we're trying to recap some stuff that's happened and new information that we have from here. And some of that new information is that a comment that was sent to us on yesterday evening. And in that comment, Joshua Satoff, who's a parent of an Emmett football player, was here at the game, said he had no idea what was happening outside here. That is also what some of the Caldwell fans have said. They had no idea what was happening out here. And the Emmett side, apparently, according to this parent, the majority of the fans on the Emmett side were not wearing masks, even though they were inside the stadium. Ammon was obviously not going to wear a mask, according to his own words, and so he stayed outside the perimeter fence here, according to him, he offered to pay here at the ticket booth, and the people at the ticket booth refused to take his money. Eventually, the police did show up, and the police said that they would not enforce the mask mandate physically. They said they would file the paperwork if the school wanted to trespass Ammon, but they were not going to physically arrest him for being on the property. They said that he was not, according to the Idaho Statesman, he was not being, aggressive or anything towards anyone. And so the other thing that I know some people wanted to ask about was the Brothers Park. Okay, so I'm here at Caldwell High School. Brothers Park, so let me give you a little bit of perspective. Okay, here's the high school. Here's the main parking lot. Okay, that's Indiana Avenue out there for those that don't know. And out here is Brothers Park. Now, I do want to clear up some misinformation that some people have been posting, which is that they're saying there's a whole bunch of soccer games going on at the school and nobody was wearing masks during the soccer games. To be clear, the Brothers Park is owned by the city of Caldwell and is not in any way, shape, or form part of the high school soccer games. I don't know where the Caldwell High School soccer team plays, but I can tell you that on Saturdays, this place is chock full of kids. Okay, there's a bunch of soccer goals right there. This place is chock full of kids. And so that would not necessarily mean that the Caldwell was not enforcing it on the soccer games over here, because those are irrelevant. All right, so now one of the things that Ammon says the ticket booth said he could do was go to Brothers Park and watch the game. So I'm technically in Brothers Park. From here, there's the railing kind of blocks some of it there. There are trees that are in the way, and they basically told Ammon you could come and stand out here and watch the game. And so the further you get this way, so right now there's the ticket booth, so Ammon could have gone anywhere here, and then the further over you get, these trees and stuff, start to block your vision more. And then, as you can imagine, if you get all the way down here, the stands are going to block your way. And so at this point, I'm relatively tall, and so I can kind of see, but the railing and everything is somewhat in the way here. And if I were going to go over to the end zone, just so you guys could see. And so, by the way, everyone has asked about, so at this point, obviously I can see till it's 30, 40, I believe that's the 50-yard line, and then it's just going to get kind of worse from here. So, in theory, Ammon could come out here when it was on this side of the field and try to watch from here, or potentially down here. I'm not sure. That's why I'm trying to walk down to see what it looks like from this side. I have requested, we have sent in a public records request for the transcripts of the 911 calls. So a lot of people asked what was the nature of the threat that came into 911, because the Statesman is quoting a Caldwell police officer as saying that there were several 911 calls that made threats about Ammon Bundy not being able to come into the stadium. And so I'm just trying to walk to the other end. Clearly right here, he wouldn't be able to watch if he was standing here. And then maybe over here, he'd be able to see something. So we have done a public records request to the Canyon County Sheriff's Office for the 911 transcripts so that we can read those and then give that information to you guys on what the nature of those threats were. So right here, basically the same thing, right? Ammon could have come over here and then went back and forth, I guess, if the field was over here, and tried to watch from here. So I'm at Brothers Park. This is the back end of the home stadium. And then here's the stadium itself. So this is where they told Ammon he could have come and watched, and the school would have had no authority to try and enforce their mask mandate. Okay? So he would have had to have kind of gone back and forth between there. If it was in the middle, you can kind of get some angles. And on this side, there's a lot more trees and stuff that would be in the way. So we do have, again, that public records request is into the Canyon County Sheriff's Office. We also sent some other public records requests for a number of individuals that will release that stuff later. And we just want to kind of figure out what happened, because there seems to be conflicting information about about why the game was canceled. To us, there were some interesting questions because I'm going to get in the shade here. The coach came up to Ammon at halftime, okay, and said the school superintendent wants something done. The police were obviously not going to enforce the mask mandate. Caldwell was down at the time 35-0, and the Caldwell parents that we talked to said that just as the band, literally just as the band finished playing, the announcer came on and said, there's a security threat. I don't remember the exact words. You have to go read the article. There's a security threat to the school. Everybody needs to leave, like get out. And the Caldwell parents that we talked to said that was the first time that anybody kind of got panicked or concerned. They were all looking around trying to figure out what was happening, and nobody knew what was happening until they left, and then they saw Ammon there. In fact, in one of the videos that we had posted, or that Ammon had posted and we linked to, there's a lady in there, and as she's coming out, she says, "Did you have something to do with this?" And Ammon says, "Yeah, I guess so," right? And so that would indicate that there's at least some fans that did not know what was happening outside the fence, because again, according to the Caldwell parents, when these huge lights are on, you can't see, according to them. So the parents we talked to were somewhere in the middle, up towards the press box, and they said that you can't see outside the perimeter fence. And I mean, even from a distance, that would be difficult to tell what is happening. I'm probably at the 10-15 yard line, and it would be difficult where Ammon was sitting to see, especially with the trees and everything, to see what was happening. The school district in their statement said that some of the fans that were at the game were causing a disturbance. Okay, we asked the school district, we sent a follow-up and said, what, you know, if Ammon was there, and according to Ammon, the only people that were with him were some of his kids and his in-laws. Okay, and we said, okay, if he's being disturbance, can you describe what that disturbance was? Because from the videos that we have seen, and those videos aren't continuous, right? There was breaks in between what Ammon was streaming. From the videos we've seen, there was no indication that he was doing anything other than just standing there. And I asked him, at any point after you initially got denied entry, did you go back and talk to anybody from the school? And Ammon told me the only person that I went and talked to was the lady at the ticket booth, or the individual at the ticket booth, to try and pay to stand outside. And that was it. And so sorry, I got a big puddle I got to step over here. Just going to go back in real quick. So Ammon says there was nobody else that he went and talked to. And so our question to the school district is, what disturbance was happening that disturbed the game or the fans? Because all the fans that we've talked to so far had no idea that Ammon was standing out here right outside that fence right there. And, you know, we're not going to make any conclusions based on anything that we have so far, other than to say we are requesting more information about this incident through public records requests, and trying to get more answers from the school district, because something doesn't add up for a lot of citizens and a lot of people we've talked to, and that's what we want to try and clear up. So again, this is where Ammon was standing. That is where the Emmett folks were sitting. This is where the Caldwell folks were sitting. For those that didn't hear the initial statement that we read, there was an Emmett fan who has a son on the team. He said that almost no one, I think he says, the majority of Emmett fans were not wearing masks. So he did say you had to wear one to get in, and then you could come over here and take it off. And that's actually, according to Ammon, what they told him at the ticket booth is, you can put on your mask and then take it off when you get in. Well, when Ammon first told me that, I said, well, something doesn't add up, because again, I live in Caldwell. I know Caldwell parents who had told us you have to wear a mask the entire time or they shame you with school officials over, that are watching the game and watching you. And if you take your mask off, they point at you and then point you, to put your mask back on. That's what we've been told. And so when Ammon said, they told me I could put it on and then take it off once I got into the stands there, I thought, well, that doesn't really make sense. And so as it turns out, that seems accurate because the other Emmett parent says that most of them were not wearing masks. And at no point, he says in his comment, did anyone come and try to tell them that they had to put on a mask. And so our other follow-up questions to the school are, why are you not enforcing it on both sides, right? If it's required for entry and it's required the entire time, why is the enforcement not the same on both sets of fans? And if it's not the same on both sets of fans, if you're not going to enforce it on the people sitting in those stands, why would someone that is much more socially distanced outside the perimeter fence here, why would they not be able to just stand out here without a mask on if they're not, bothering anyone? And according to Ammon, he offered to pay to stand outside the perimeter fence. So anyway, that's kind of the update that we have now. We're going to keep trying to dig into this. I think for a lot of people, this is a big story, right? The game was canceled because something happened. Somebody made a decision to cancel. Now, again, the Idaho Statesman says that was because of 911 calls that were made into the Canyon County Sheriff's Office, and that's why we're going to why we did send in a public records request for those 911 transcripts so we can get those and read those to you guys and figure out the nature of the threat, figure out if Canyon County Sheriff's Office is going to try and find out who these people are that made the threats and act accordingly. That would obviously be a violation of the law to call in a threat against the school. Why did if it did indeed happen right after the band was done playing? Because here's the thing, the parents that we talked to from Caldwell said they saw the Caldwell school principal go up to the press box just before halftime and then left. Okay, and then halftime started, the band played, and as soon as the band was done playing, that was it, and the announcer came on. So if she had gone up and if the principal had gone up and told them that there was a threat against the school, is that what she went up there for? And if she did, why in the world did they wait until the band was done playing? Like, if there was a real threat against the school, wouldn't you just say, get out and get out now, regardless of whether or not the band is or is not playing, right? And so that's kind of some follow-up questions we have, is just to figure out what decisions were made. And so we're trying to get a hold of the school to get some more answers for you guys on this story. So once those public records come in, and we have a number of requests out from a number of individuals, including the Canyon County Sheriff's Office, once all of that comes in, we'll read that stuff to you guys, give you that information. However the chips fall, doesn't matter to us. We're trying to get you guys the truth about what was happening. So anyway, that's all we've got for now, guys. I appreciate your time. Be sure to share this video. Let us know if you have any other questions about this incident, and we'll try to get some answers for you. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.